Okay, we're back on air. Rod Riopel is going to now talk to us about membership and membership engagement and all kinds of new ideas. Rod is, I hope you know that Rod is a past district governor of District 5550, and he is also now the chair of the district membership committee, very passionate in this area, and always provides a great presentation. You're on, Rod.
Thank you for those kind words, Fred. Good morning to everyone. If we were in person, I'd make you yell good morning back, but I know you would, so we can move along from that one. Engaging members in a club. I've been in Rotary 20 years, and we've always talked about membership, and we've all heard we need more members, but sometimes we forget, once we get a member in, how do we keep them in? And that's what we're going to touch on today. If we can move to our next slide, please. Question for you. If you're a Rotarian, which model is your club, and what could you borrow from others to enhance your club to be a good fit for all members? You think, well, that's kind of a long question, but you think of it, you know, the different types of clubs we have today, you know, what works, what are our options? Anyone who joins Rotary, you know, we'll touch as we go through this on the why you joined, but you deserve to enjoy being in a Rotary club. So, you know, if anyone has any comments on what they could see to enhance their club today, like just what pops into your head, if anyone just wants to throw something out, or, you know, for me, I belong to the Gimli Club right now. What would enhance my club experience, and we work at it constantly, is getting more exposure in the community. Yes, people know more what we do as Rotary, but do we know the specific projects? Like in Kenora, the one thing we did was, I was in Kenora for 20 years, so I make reference to that quite a bit. We did the Salvation Army kettles. What was in it for us? Absolutely nothing. We weren't selling anything. We weren't doing, we were serving. You know, we did our family New Year's where we'd rent the rec center. Everything was free. So that really gave back to the community. And I think that's so important, because as we go through this, as we go through COVID, as we go through the changes in Rotary, as we go through new club presidents, as new district governors, what's the one constant thing? Everything changes. Change is here always. 2 years ago, if I said, we'll be doing Zoom meetings, there'll be virtual clubs, you won't be meeting in person, who would believe a pandemic could be here? This is stuff written in futuristic books. Hats off to Rotary. You know, we're adapting to style. We're adapting to change. You know, how we meet, how do we keep members engaged? Next slide, please. You know, as we go through the different models of our clubs, you know, we're all quite familiar with traditional Rotary Club. You know, professional, inspiring leaders who meet regularly for service connections, personal growth. Who's it appeal to? People looking to serve, connections, opportunities, traditions. Very traditional. You know, we had a noon luncheon club in Kenora. You know, you got there at 12. We started at 12:15. If all went well, we're out by 1. There was happy bucks. We'd have you go in, everybody would sit at the same table, would try to shake it up, you know, take a table number. But that works for most people. For some people, it works for people that's what they want out of Rotary. Next slide, please. Out of that came a satellite club. Well, again, going back to the Kenora Club, sometimes lunch didn't always work. We had people interested in serving, but an evening meeting would work better for them. So a satellite club is a Rotary Club sponsored by a traditional club with its own meetings, projects, bylaws, and board. That's the end result of a satellite club. We had a satellite club where twice a month, you know, we'd meet for appetizers, just an evening meeting, talk about what's going on, still plugged into the existing Kenora Club and what our projects were. Who does that appeal to? Somebody wants a different time, you know, somebody who wants to belong to a club, but lunch just doesn't work. Next slide, please.
Rod, you have a question? David has a question. Go ahead, David. Oh. David Newman, do you still have your question?
Looks like he's muted.
He took his hand down.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I had it accidentally up. My apologies. Thank you.
No problem. As we evolve, club models change. And we get asked today, well, what are our options? They're quite extensive. You know, an e-club, a club that primarily meets online. Some clubs meet once a year in person, but they meet online. You know, people who travel frequently, whose schedules make it difficult to meet in person, they prefer the online experience. They still want to give back. This is something new in the last few years. Passport Club, a club that allows members to attend other Rotary Club meetings as long as they attend a specific number in their own club each year. Appeals to people who travel more frequently. They enjoy a variety of club experience and enjoy meeting new people. Past District Governor Pat, what's her club? Can someone help me out here? Nipawin? They moved.
Nipawin.
Thank you. They moved into a Passport Club and they're having good success. A corporate club, we get asked a lot about that. It varies with each club, but for example, a corporate membership in a club, 5 of us work for the same company. We pay 1 membership dues. 5 of us are registered. Varies with clubs, but normally they get 1 vote per club. So appeals to an organization where there's a group of people that believe in a cause, they work together, and they share the time commitment to Rotary. Or they can all come on the same day. It doesn't matter. Past President John Germ said a long time ago, there's no, RI President, there's no Rotary police. You know, when I was district governor, we'd go to different clubs and they say, well, I don't think we can do that. Again, past President Germ said, Rotary's like a pyramid. I'm at the bottom balancing it. Clubs run Rotary. And we touch on that a lot, but we're all traditional in our thought pattern. Well, we can't do that. Why can't we? That's the question we need to ask. Why not? You know, times are changing. Again, going back to, 3 years ago, we're doing this in a Zoom meeting. Yeah, okay. Why? But you adapt to change. Next slide, please. Cause-based club, a club whose members are passionate about a particular cause and focus their service efforts in that area. That appeals to people who want to connect with others while addressing a particular set of problems. Like you can pick, as Fred was talking earlier, a needs analysis in a community, what the issues are. It can be whatever the local needs are. We have to just expand our thought process on what's possible. It can be anything from literacy, any project, alumni-based clubs, a club whose members are former Rotary or Rotary Foundation program participants like MUNA, RILA. We've talked about this in the past. As we go through, these kids go through the programs, like we have past District Governor Fred, who I believe you were in MUNA, Fred?
No, never been in Munich, but I got to go to Ottawa and Adventure in Citizenship back in the olden days.
So anybody that's participated in our programs knows what Rotary brings to the table. Alumni clubs. We have an alumni chair now that, again, going with the alumni of Rotary. They're already half educated on what we do. We're not starting at ground zero. Okay, next slide, please. Rotaract clubs. Club of members age 18 to 30, sponsored by a Rotary club, and quite often works on their projects. Appeals to younger people who want to serve their community, developing leadership, professional skills. We send kids to RILA. Somewhere we got to keep the path moving, that they're done RILA, they're pumped on Rotary, they're the future leaders. How do we keep them moving into a Rotaract club, moving into a Rotary club, keep the service going? It's like if you have a little fire and you put a drop of gas, it's there. You pour 5 gallons on it and you have a nice grass fire. Well, we want to keep their passion moving forward. with all these clubs, the only RI stipulation is they ask that they meet at least twice per month. There's no more you have to meet every week. You know, the flexibility is there. And what we have to do as Rotarians is remember this when we go back to our clubs, that the old, why can't we not? I remember as district governor attending these clubs and someone said, well, we've always done it that way. It's just like taking your nails across the chalkboard. Yeah, and how's that working? You know, as we go through this, you'll see it's like a bucket. We bring in new members, they fall out the bottom. You know, going to membership, going to retention. What is the whole thing? Rotary is relationships, listening and giving, going back and forth. Next slide, please. What we know about membership today. We get a lot more members, but we lose more. You know, the year I was district governor, basically what we brought in, we were losing. Retention is the key to growth. You say, yeah, that's pretty basic, Rod. It is, but we forget. We bring them in. You know, someone joins Rotary, we're all busy. You go, well, gee, how is Bob? Oh, I saw him a couple of meetings ago. Well, maybe Bob doesn't feel that connected. We had someone in our club who was ready to resign because he felt he wasn't giving anything. And he was tapped on the shoulder and he later became president of the club and did an amazing job. We engaged him. We found out something he was interested in. Once we bring them in, you know, if we don't engage you, there's a retention. We all have constraints on our time. And you know, there's not many of us in the world that just want to be a knife and fork person. So if you come to a club, nobody even says hi. Like the first time I attended, when I was asked to join Rotary, it was in Sudbury, Ontario. And my boss said, join Rotary. You know, you show up, well, no one says, hey, come sit here. It's very awkward. Like when a new member comes in, you want them to feel like a friend at Rotary. Next slide, please. Different stages of the membership life cycle. Acquisition, integration, engagement, renewal. You know, next slide, please. Attracting the right people by giving them the information on Rotary. That's so important. Over the years, I've met people that have joined Rotary, and when I was club president, we did exit interviews, and they'd say, well, that's not what I expected. Well, out of respect for their time and our time, you have to understand there has to be a why they joined, you know, because I wanted to build my personal business. That's a side effect of Rotary, but that's not a good reason to join a service club. Did you catch that part? Service club to give back? You know, integration, formulating common goals and integrate diverse members to the club. Well, that's a real complicated statement. Well, not really. You know, when I joined Rotary, my passion was literacy. In the Kenora Club, there was a fire department that would do a book sale every year. We would go at the end of the book sale, box up 40, 50, 60 boxes of books, store them, and we would call the schools on the First Nations and talk to the principals. And there was one First Nations, and I won't use their name, but the government had built them a school. They had a beautiful library, but there was no budget for books. They literally had a library with not a book in it. And through the Kenora Rotary Club and our friends at Treaty 3 and Bearskin Airways, we got them a ride up and started supplying books in there. And hopefully now, you know, we're moving forward with the government supporting it too. Engagement. And once you join Rotary, what are their passions? Why? Why did they join? You know, we've had members where never make a meeting, but they're the first one to stand up and come out to a barbecue, to come out and help at family night, you know, at the rec center, to write a check for a cause. We all give different things. There's no right answer. The only thing right is you join a service club because you want to serve and make a difference. How you get there doesn't matter as long as we're all working towards the same goal. You know, renewal. Some clubs do an annual forum where, what's the 3 things you love about your club? Club assembly, you know, what are 3 things you could change? Well, that's fine. But when you throw them in a book and nobody does anything about it, somewhere we have to follow it up. as a district, we have a strategic plan. It's got to be a living document where you get the feedback. Next slide, please. Engagement. It can mean many things. Engagement, it's communications, listening. I attended one club and they had
Someone
said,
has their sound on.
when I attended the club, they said, well, we don't have a problem with retention. And one of the members said, well, yeah, we do. Well, remember Jim left? Yeah, well, remember.
How the guy could lose his keys.
Oh,
Not here.
we got some interference here. Jim had come to the club and he had some new ideas. And the person says, sorry, we've always done it that way. We're not interested. Well, how would you feel as a new member? Why am I here? That's how much you respect my time. So engagement in the meetings, we used to do happy bucks or some recognition what members have accomplished, service projects. We used to do highway cleanups. The kids would come and help, getting the family involved. Social events, family barbecues. Out of it comes networking. It can't be the reason you join a service club, but as you develop a relationship by listening, by talking, who are you going to do business with? People you trust. And out of that comes fellowship. Recently, I sent out the membership newsletter. Cheryl from Brandon had done an excellent job on it. And I actually got an email from someone in the Kenora Club saying, hey, I haven't talked to you in a year. How's it going, buddy? Like, that's fellowship. You build that bond of friendship. And that's what Rotary is all about, relationships, like anything. Next slide, please. Engaging Rotarians. The 3 T's: talent, time, and treasure. Talent, what's their expertise? What's their passion? When I first joined the Kenora Rotary Club, we needed a treasurer. Well, I tell you, that's not my talent. I tried, we got through it, but I was not heartbroken when I wasn't treasurer anymore. Time. What time do they have to put into the club? And treasure, Some people writing a check is how they want to contribute. God bless them. Some people want to be out at every social event, highway cleanup, everything, community barbecues. God bless them. That's how we get a team. We all bring different things and we have to respect that. But so much goes back to, why did they join Rotary? If you don't have a reason to join Rotary, you shouldn't be in Rotary, because you're not doing yourself justice or the club justice. But as a club, once you come in, we have to listen to what your reason was. We have to have some feedback. Next slide, please. Engagement is knowing your members. Well, that's so basic. Yeah, it is, but we're all complacent creatures of habit. The year I was district governor, I attended a club and talked a little bit about engagement in my speech. And one of the members says, yeah, we're guilty of that. I said it was so-and-so's birthday. They'd been in the club 6 months. And when we got to happy birthday to, do you think we could think of their name? Of course, that person never came back to Rotary. A few people chuckled when I've told the story, but you think of it, it's pretty sad. If you sung me happy birthday and you don't even know my name, first week, okay, I'm fairly new. After 6 months, nobody's making an effort. Engagement is knowing your members. Like, that's so important. I've attended clubs where, especially when I was a new member, you go to sit down, they go, no, Jim sits here. You go to sit down, no, that's Fred's seat. Like, how does that make someone feel? You go, well, what's a big deal? You're a big boy. Yeah, you want to walk into a room full of strangers? Wouldn't you want to walk in and go, hey, Rod, right? Hey, come sit with us. This is Jim, Fred, Betty. Like, how would you feel? You feel, okay, I'm feeling comfortable. But when you sit down at a table, no one even says hello. No one says, hey, how's it going? What's happening with you? That's not how we build relationships. The person sitting there goes, I can't wait for this to be over. Like, I am not comfortable. My first club, I quit Rotary after about 3 months. I slowly quit going, and you'd think somebody would call and say, hey, how's it going? What's happening? Nope. After a month, nope. 2 months, nope. I just never went back. No one ever followed it up. it did not leave a good taste. When I moved to Kenora, I went to rent a U-Haul, and to get the transport, wouldn't get down the driveway to the house, separate story. I mentioned to the fellows renting the U-Haul from, I'd been in Rotary. Before I could finish the sentence, I was invited out to the meeting next Monday. Like, you felt welcome. It's so important. Engagement starts from the moment we talk to someone. Next slide, please. Knowing your members. What is their family life? What is their vacation? What are their passions? What do they do for fun? Remember the year I became club president, there was a past president in our club. He said, the one piece of advice I'll give to you, and we should be reviewing this every 3 months, is put the fun back in Rotary. If it's not fun, we shouldn't be doing it. You think that's right. We have work, we have stress. You come to Rotary, you want to feel like you're making a difference. You want to have some fun. But you go on the other side. I've been to clubs where they do their happy bucks. Well, every week it's the same 6 people they kind of poke fun at and pay $1. Well, what about the new person? How come we don't pay a happy buck? Because Jim's here and it's the second meeting and it's great to see you, Jim. Just a little bit of recognition. What did Dale Carnegie say? Most important thing someone wants to hear is their name. A little bit of recognition. Good to see you. You look great. What's happening? And going back to, our common interests. Why did you join Rotary? Sharing experiences, like earlier in the presentation. What a difference. I know the work I did on First Nations. It's so fulfilling. First, you build the relationship. You're filling a need. And they honestly appreciate it. There's a mutual respect. And then why are they interested in Rotary? Why did they join? Says, well, I don't know. I just joined to have lunch. Again, we're a service club. It's great to meet for lunch, but how do you want to make a difference? Well, the breakfast program in Kenora. Well, if someone brought that up and someone went, we've never done that, why would we do it now? Well, it's been evolving for years and years and years. But if that's the interest, fuel the fire. Let's, whoever has that interest, run with it, support them, get people involved. How do you do that? We have to listen. Ask the question and listen, and never, ever, well, we've always done it that way. Wrong answer. Next slide, please. Reaching out to members. When a new member comes in, how many clubs have a mentor program where they pair you up? Just for fun. You can do it through chat or you can answer. Does your club have a mentor program? And if you don't, why don't you? Because no one ever got to it? That's a fair answer, but once you bring that new member in, they're still pretty fragile. There's a lot of new things in Rotary. Yeah, I see Dryden has one. That's excellent. You have to really communicate. There's still so many Rotarians don't even understand what foundation is. They don't understand the work we do internationally. They have to be comfortable enough to ask the questions. And how are they comfortable enough? Once we build a relationship where, there's never a dumb question. I asked you a question about Rotary. There's probably 5 other people in our club of 20 that are thinking the same thing, but they don't want to ask the question, feeling they'll look stupid. Next slide, please. Putting our members to work. And we used to do, I keep going back to the highway cleanup. How do you get volunteers? Hey, everybody, put your hand up. No, if we don't have enough volunteers, we're going to call you and say, hey, what are you doing Monday at 4? We're doing a highway cleanup. I remember my first negative experience. There was one fella that made a difference in the Sudbury Club. I was asked to set up chairs for some banquet we were doing, and I'm like all of 26. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I was not even sure where to go. And I show up, and the fellow who's with the Salvation Army showed up, and he said, I know you're new. I just thought I'd come and give you a hand. He showed me how much he cared. It kept me in the club a few months longer, but there wasn't enough people, like-minded people like him to support the new members, so I ended up leaving. But once you get involved, like some clubs, you can't join till you work on 3 projects. Like, let's set the expectation. Like, this is what we're about. It is as important to the club as it is to the new member that it's got to be a fit. You know, if they're not interested in contributing, then why do they want to be a member? And we've had members tell us in our club that, oh, I joined because someone said it'd be good for my business. Again, going back to, we're a service club. We have to be like-minded or we won't achieve our goals. Next slide, please. Separate strategies for separate segments. You know, one size fits all days don't exist. You know, you have to adapt to the club. You know, some clubs now don't even meet for a meal. They meet for cocktails. You know, you can do whatever it takes to make it work. Goes back to, there's no Rotary police. You know, you have, like, again, going back to our Kenora Club, we had past presidents in there that had been in Rotary 25, 30, 35 years, and they're kind of sitting in the back coasting. Well, that's fine, but it's so easy for them to keep coasting, or they start missing a meeting. So what we do is get them involved. Like, yeah, I know you're not chair of Lobster Fest anymore, but you know, Jim is now, and he could really use some coaching. We need your input. Getting people involved, getting them recognized, and getting them to contribute. Like, everyone still wants to be appreciated, not just, well, geez, like, I'm put out to pasture. I attended, I can't think of his name, here in Winnipeg. The fella turned like 86. He was still active in his club. Like, it's because people respect, they keep you involved. And we bring new members in, you know, the mentoring program, you know, a past president mentoring a new member, like, communications. When you feel comfortable enough, you can ask me anything. That's when we're really going to have a conversation. You know, how does district work? What is membership? You know, what is zone? Like, all the things that most of us don't know at the club level. I didn't until I became an assistant governor. You know, how everything works. You got to be comfortable. And if you're listening, you're going to hear the people that want to learn it. You don't have to, you know, preach it or ram it down anyone's throat, but you want to be there when the interest is there. Next slide, please. You know, welcoming new members. How does your club do that? You know, I use the example, I sponsored a member and I think I gave the worst welcoming speech you could. You know, this is so-and-so, and, you know, live down the street with so-and-so. Like, gee, what happened to, this is Fred, you know, he has a beautiful wife, Marion. You know, they're originally from Winnipeg. His passions are blah, blah, blah. Like, make them feel comfortable. You know, have his spouse there, have the kids there. You know, bring the puppy. Well, we'll see where we're having lunch. But, you know, the point is, you want to treat it with respect. You're welcoming. It's like welcoming a new member into the family, into the Rotary family. You want, lack of a better word, the warm and fuzzies. Like, we respect you, you will respect us. Like, we're here to serve, and we want you to feel welcome, like a new friend. You know, I bring you for dinner, I'm not going to go, yeah, this is Jim, sit down and eat. You know, oh, this is my neighbor Jim. You know, Jim's from blah, blah, blah. And you introduce him to people. We used to find at the end of the meeting, if someone hadn't shook hands with a new member, you know, they'd be fine. Like, you want everybody to feel welcome. Next slide, please. Welcoming new members. You know, does your club have an orientation? You know, when I joined the Sudbury Club, the orientation was we meet at noon. New members activities. You know, in Kenora, we used to have a new members night. We'd just come out and you'd have your chairs of the different areas of service talk about what it is, just a quick overview, recognizing new members, the new member mentor program. And all this stuff is available. You go to the RI site, you can Google this, you know, if you need ideas on it, or talk to another club. the whole thing in Rotary is, why do we reinvent the wheel at every club? We got to communicate the size of our district, you know, why we all have the same issues. If we can learn from each other, you're saving time, we're getting the economies of scale, we're all like-minded. Next slide, please. So important, invite members to attend Rotary. When you get a family buy-in, you know, growing up, both my boys would come out to projects. You know, when I was the club president, you know, my youngest came with me to England. You know, he met from people all over the world. He still has a respect. He laughed, he attended an event and Fred Wright was there and sold him a ticket. And he said, we've taught you well. Like, if we educate this generation coming of service and how important it is, and, you know, literacy, and, you know, the earlier presentation about having our kids from the city learning traditions of kids on First Nations. Like, we're all the same. We just have different cultures, different traditions. There's no magic or mystery. How do we, you know, getting off topic, but end racism? We understand each other. We respect each other. There's no negative. There's no gossip. It's like, we, you know, I drive a white truck, you drive a black truck. It means nothing. You know, Fred drives an orange car, like whatever. It's so important. How does that happen? Building relationships. We keep going back to that. If you don't feel we're friends, how are we going to build a relationship? How are we going to do a Rotary project? How are you going to feel comfortable to say, I noticed this and we could do this in the community? You have to have that comfort level. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, Fred, you drive a blue car. Engaging new Rotarians, get them involved. So much of that. When I first joined the Kenora Rotary Club, you had to belong to 3 committees. You'd have about a week to put it together. But quite often, you know, at the end of a year, and I'm going back 20 years, it would be, I'm past club president and I sponsored, and in my year we got 20 new members. What we're leaving out is 19 of them left, because once they joined, we didn't get them involved. No one said, remember why you joined Rotary? Or, you know, you mentioned literacy. Here's what we're doing. You want to get involved there? You know, club officer, committee position. Based on your background, you'd be great on our community service. You know, putting your skills to work. How does that happen? Getting to know your fellow Rotarians. What are their passions? What's their hot button? You know, what are their goals? Someone could join Rotary and say, all I want to do, you know, is work on projects. That's great. All I want to do is learn some leadership skills. Oh, well, we'll get you as a committee chair. You may want to look at moving on to be a club president, you know, assistant governor. Are you interested in being a district governor? Seeing the big picture. Are you interested in working at the zone level? Communications. And once they're involved, they're invested. You know, after, like, it's so easy because we're all creatures of habit. You know, with COVID, there's so many different time constraints. It'd be so easy to pull back. Well, I'm busy. I don't have time for Rotary. Well, for me, I'm membership chair. So I have to stay involved. I'm membership chair in my club. Like, if you're involved, it's, how do you turn your back on it? If you're not involved, it's real easy. You know, oh, they won't even notice I'm not there. Well, when they do notice, because you have a relationship, how do you say, oh, I was just busy. Okay, I was this Monday, but I'll see you when we meet in 2 weeks. Communications. Next slide, please. Learn what is working by asking. And here as district governor, that came up in a few of the meetings. And one of the club presidents says, I did. I said, hey, anybody got any ideas? Nobody put their hand up. You know, everybody think we're doing a good job? Who's going to put their hand up and say, I disagree in front of 20 other club members? Do a survey. You can do it anonymously. Get the dialogue going. They got to have the comfort level. Next slide, please. You know, engaging experienced Rotarians, our challenges. You know, an aging club, struggling economies, traditional societies, integrating young members, you know, the pandemic. We've proven, you know, we're coming up to a year with the pandemic and Rotary is still moving forward. You know, aging clubs. Yeah, well, that's a fact of life. How do we bring in new members? By asking them. How do we ask them? We get involved in the community. They see Rotary. People learn what Rotary is and listening to what they're looking for. I remember years ago, someone was interested in networking. Well, instead of explaining the service issue, how networking is a natural effect of being involved in a service club, the answer they were given was, nah, we're not a networking club. Well, since Rotary started, it's been a networking club. It's a service club, but who do you do business with? People you're comfortable with. Now, some clubs, and going back a few years, would be, okay, we have 5 minutes left. It's a happy dollar. You have 1 minute to promote your business. And it's interesting hearing what people do. There's nothing wrong with it, but that's not the reason you join a club. It's just part of it. Struggling economies. Some clubs have moved to, you can pay your dues monthly. You can pay them quarterly. We can just make it happen. I know of some clubs where Rotarians have had difficult times and people have paid other people's dues anonymously. It's just whatever works. And how does it work? Going back to communications, relationship. In business, you call it relationship selling. You don't do business with someone you don't trust. We just bought a new house. Our real estate agent, never heard from them again. Very, very poor communication skills. Well, I don't trust that person. I'll never refer them. I know of another story, a real estate agent brought, a gift for the new owner of the house, couldn't do enough for them. Word of mouth, and you would talk that person up. So it goes back to, relationships, showing how much we care and they care. Next slide, please. It goes back to, well, that's nice, Rod, but whose responsibility is it to re-engage? The answer, everyone. Club president, membership chair, district governor, assistant governors, district membership chairs, friends within the club. When you notice someone's not there, why aren't they there? Give them a quick call. Some clubs where you miss one meeting, you're going to get a call from the membership committee. Hey, Rod, noticed you weren't there. How's it going? Oh, good. I was just swamped. Oh, no problem. See you next Monday. Just want to make sure the world is good. You cared enough to call. You missed 2 meetings. Oh, it's just really been a bad few weeks. No problem. But you need to get out of the office. Why don't you let me pick you up? I'll pick you up on the way to Rotary. Just communications, re-engaging, a past club president. You had such a passion for this. Jim just joined and, he's also a butcher. Let me introduce you, and you can kind of tell him what you've done in Rotary, like get a dialogue going. Sometimes the hardest thing is just initiating the conversation, but once it feels safe, somebody's talking, they'll keep talking, they'll open up, you'll learn. They have 2 little kids that, are in hockey. Oh, my son played hockey, but, now you have some rapport, there's a comfort level. Next slide, please. Again, engaging experienced Rotarians. It's a big point that works really well is get them to mentor. Your past Rotary president, past chair of whatever committee. Ask them to mentor a new member. Introduce them. Say, George here has been in our club for a few years and he's the wealth of knowledge. He's the one you want to talk to, and get them building a rapport. Now, as a new member, I know George and I can ask him anything as I get to know him and feel more comfortable. When people come in, at one point, you join Rotary and you're on this, and this. Let them pick their committees, pick their projects. Some clubs, once you join, they'll let you pick a project and they'll give you a certain amount, like a $500 budget, and you go out and do the rest of the fundraising. Flexibility, listen, value their knowledge and experience. The old, well, we've always done it this way. This will be recorded, and I do have a copy of this PowerPoint. Thank you, District Governor. Value their knowledge, involve them with the next generations. Rotaract, Interact, Early Act. Before I was District Governor, I'd never heard of Early Act, and I was visiting Pat Chinesky's club, And I went and met the Early Act Club, and it was quite humbling, you know, when you're used to doing 45 speeches to Rotary clubs, and now you're speaking to the Early Act, which is, I'm going from memory here, but about grade 3 or 4. You know, so we talked about Shelter Box and the projects they had been on. I thought, wow, they actually seem interested. I think I'm getting this. And one little boy put his hand up and he says, I have one question. I said, well, I'd mentioned Ron Noseworthy's name. He says, that Ron Noseworthy, is he friends with Justin Trudeau? Okay, I'm not sure where we got that bridge, but we're all friends with Justin Trudeau. You know, ask them what they want. Re-engagement. What are they looking for? It goes back to talk to them and listen. The year I was district governor, I had a few clubs say to me, to be honest, we dreaded you coming. And you go, wow, that's really a confidence booster, but do I still get lunch? And they said, the reason is we're used to people, the district governor coming, talking for half an hour, never listening to a word we said. Now we see the attitude from the district is we're listening. You know, we want the same things. The clubs run Rotary, they run the district. It's a dialogue. It's not them and us. It's the team, the district governor team, the Rotary team. So important for that message to get across. And everything we've talked about, you know, it's nothing earth-shattering, but it's something we got to keep repeating because we're all creatures of habit. We all get busy. Like, wow, what a morning I had, and what happened at work today. And, you know, I see John and I don't even say hi to him. Well, how do you know John just didn't have a terrible day? He's been in the club 2 months. And he goes to Rotary and he goes, look at that. No one even has the time to say, why am I even here? You don't know what's going on in someone's life. And Zig Ziglar said once, when someone's rude to you, you don't know what's happening. They could be hanging on the edge of the cliff by their fingers. I don't want to be rude back and be the guy that stomps on his hands and he falls off the cliff. You know, Wayne Dyer said once, I'll always expect the best and be occasionally disappointed, then expect the worst in people and always be right. So much is attitude, you know, and what's attitude? When we're serving, the attitude is to serve. And how we get there doesn't matter. So we all listen to each other, listen to different ideas. Try it. You never know. And at least we can say we tried it, and, you know, we're honoring the person who made the suggestion. Next slide, please. You know, engagement, having fun together. If it's not fun, why are we here? You would say, but Rod, we're here to serve. Yeah, but you got to look at the facts. If serving is uncomfortable, not fun and stressful, that person will go somewhere else to serve. They'll still want the need to serve, but they're not going to do it if it's not fun, warm, and welcoming. Next question. Next slide. You know, sharing experience. When I traveled as district governor, you know, many people said, geez, Rod, you do like to tell a story. Well, going back to the Dale Carnegie programs, we learn by sharing experiences. I can tell you numbers, but, you know, I used to talk about polio, and I had one past district governor share the experience. He went on a polio immunization trip, and he said, when you're holding a baby, giving him a drop of the polio vaccine, and this child crawls up and pulls on your pant leg and says, please give it to my sister, because I don't want her to have to crawl through the mud like I do. Like, I get chills telling that story, and I've told it many times, because it's an experience. It's the difference we make. You know, the worst thing you can do is work on a project and never get feedback. You know, we need to measure something. You need to feel we're making a difference out there. Next slide, please. And open it up to questions. I thank you for your attention, and hopefully I've given you some material to think about, and, you know, remembering the strength of Rotary is our membership. Yeah, brainstorming sessions. That's an excellent idea. You know, we used to call it club assemblies, brainstorming. There's never a bad idea. You know, simple as it's a program for a club meeting. This is going to be our brainstorming on retention. Kick out the ideas. Does anyone have any questions?
Fred.
Rod, one of the things that seems to be happening in Rotary is that you mentioned some of the problems with older established clubs and older established Rotarians. Bringing young people in is sometimes the culture just doesn't mix. What are your thoughts on starting new clubs?
Excellent question, Fred. Again, like-minded, we're all service orientated. They could start as a satellite club, and something as simple as, a younger member goes, it's really nice, but I do not have an hour a week to go sit and have lunch with you. That's great, because we're looking at, our next option is an evening meeting. Depending on what the needs of the individual. I think what we have to get away from, and it's creatures of habit. You're 22 and I say, I like your mindset. You really come and have lunch. Come and learn what we're about. Oh no, lunch would never work. Oh, okay. Ask the question. How do we learn? Open-ended questions. What would work? Well, an evening meeting, or, I have no time, but I'm really interested. Oh, what are you interested in? I'm interested in literacy. Oh, we have some excellent programs. And we turn that into, well, there's an e-club, there's a passport club, there's many different ways. I think we really got to get to the point where it's not, and I've seen this when I was district governor, you attend a meeting, there's a new member, guy walks up, slaps the desk, says new member, so you ready to join? Well, are we ready to have the new member? Like, when you establish the need, joining is a no-brainer. Like, yes, I want to serve, but I cannot come at lunch. No problem. We can work around anything. Again, using Kenora as an example, because that's where I was the longest, you can't come at lunch. Well, we're looking at a satellite club. We're looking at an e-club. We can plug you in here or there. I think it's identifying the like-minded people, and the like-minded people, going back to our alumni, people that have been through the programs, that know what Rotary is. And I really think we miss a lot there, because they already respect Rotary, but it's like anything. I'm 17 and I finished RILA. I'm pumped. Now, nobody does anything. Nobody follows me up. Well, I'm 20 now. I'm getting on with my life. I'm busy. You want to get when the passion's there, when you're excited and talking up Rotary. But on the other hand, you don't walk around, you need to join Rotary. It's like saying, I don't even know what your needs are, and I'm telling you what you need to do. We're looking for like-minded people. How do we find them? You have somebody who looks reasonable, you invite them out as a guest. But we listen, and when they say, for lack of a better word, a traditional club will not work for me, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that, because we're in the process of expanding our different styles of memberships. There's never a wrong answer.
Brian Braid had a question, Rod.
Hi, Rod.
Hi.
Just a quick one, a more technical question. You talked about corporate memberships, and I remember we got involved with that, trying to get some people from different areas. And of course, if they had one membership and multiple people were coming on that membership, it hasn't worked as particularly well. But anyway, we have it. But the other question was that you talked about having multiple members on there, but they're only paying one membership. I thought that if their names were on your roster, they would have to pay RI dues. So you keep them off your roster?
Well, what happens, it's a local club decision. Some clubs have a set fee. Let's just say, for example, membership bless you, is $200. Well, a corporate membership is $280, and you can have up to 5 members. It all depends how your local club wants to do it. Now, some clubs literally only have, a corporate membership's $200, and you can have up to 5 members, but we only register one with RI.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, is that you put them on the books, and it goes from your list through the district list to the RI list, and you end up having to pay for 5 members then if all their names are on your list, is it not?
that's correct. If you do it that way, and then you're actually losing money. But
Okay.
the
So
other
leave
side,
them all.
yeah, the other side is why, like, I remember going through this in the Kenora Club years ago, and the club president then said, okay, technically they're a non-voting member, but when do we ever vote on anything that 3 votes make a difference? Says, I don't care. Everybody in our club votes. You know, no Rotary police. You can set it up exactly how you want to run your club. So even though you have one registered with RI and there's 6 of them and they all show up and we're voting on a fundraiser, it's up to you whether you want to count all 6 votes or you tell them only 1 vote counts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand that. But we like to get them on our list because then we have mail outs for everybody. Then they're there.
Right.
They're not on the, if we leave them off the list so they don't have to pay RI dues, then we have to make sure we add their names in somewhere so they get the same information everyone else does. So it's a bit of a
Yeah. Oh, what some clubs do is as you do your mailing list, you have your active members and they throw them in under Friends of Rotary.
Yeah.
Mhm, that's right.
Well, I thank you all very much for your attention, and
Rod, thank you for a great presentation, and thank you, more importantly, for your passion about Rotary and your passion for how to engage members in Rotary. If we listen to you, we will stop the leaky bucket. Thank you so much. Everyone, you've got 15 minutes to be back here. We will start again at 11:40. Which is 10:40 in Saskatchewan. And I recommend that you, even if it's chilly outside, I recommend that you stand up, stick your head outside, grab a breath of fresh air, come back in and enjoy a little bit of camaraderie.